going on, fellas? My name's Timmy Joe, making videos about computers all up on the internet, coming at you with an episode of Quick Tech, all about a little capture card here that might pique your interest. Maybe you're interested in getting into, the streaming game, putting a little bit of Twitch, gameplay together, or doing like stuff like I do, doing reviews and doing some benchmarking on YouTube, maybe just some gameplay videos. Maybe you want to capture, a camera and actually plug in HDMI into your computer. Well, this is a super easy option. So we'll talk about that in just a second. But first, VPN is the sponsor of this video, and they are a wonderful VPN service, very inexpensive, and they wanted to, kind of talk about downloading torrents. You know what? It's becoming increasingly hard to get away with it. ISPs are having a watchful eye on everything you download, especially Game of Thrones, HBO content, stuff like that. And you know what? You're a savvy consumer, and maybe you would, pay for TV service if it wasn't full of ads. Maybe you would pay for software if it wasn't so expensive. You do a little bit of downloading on the download on the down low. Well, VPN can help you out by completely shielding your activity from your ISP. That might sound kind of shady, but it's the truth. If you ever got one of those, emails or, kind of a cease and desist from your ISP saying stop downloading Game of Thrones, well, if you get VPN, fairly inexpensive service, you can download, do the things, the down low on the download through IVC and eliminate the watchful eyes on your ISP's end. So VPN would like to give you a nice little 20% off of their 2-year plan by using the promo code 2Y Privacy. And that's a limited time only. Links are in the description. Check them out if you want to. If you need a VPN, it's awesome service. Go check it out. But back to the Quick Tech. So yes, a little Avermedia here. Pretty cool stuff. And this is a USB 2.0 of all things. A video capture card that works really, really well at an extremely affordable price. And I really don't have too many issues with it. I mean, I've got a console. Actually, I set all this up so that I could kind of put a use case scenario towards it. But then you just scroll down the website and they're doing the same thing. Your laptop hooked up with PS. Maybe I don't have a PS4 on the desk, but that's because I game with a PC. But yeah, so it's video pass through HDMI. You plug it in, and then you plug in another HDMI, which I don't have hooked up here, into your monitor, into your TV, and this sends some really high quality video over to their software. See, I've got some Super Mario going on here, and it's actually fairly. Now Nintendo's gonna turn it off. Now Nintendo's gonna get at me with a copyright strike for having their music in my video. So yeah, now into this little capture card, an awesome little product from Avermedia. This is an entry-level video capture card that captures an HDMI signal up to 1080p 60 frames a second and allows you to put it on a computer and stream and record gameplay and maybe capture video off of an SLR camera with an HDMI out. Like my Panasonic here, I could plug it into here and actually use it like a webcam, in a, like an OBS, stuff like that. Open Broadcaster software, stuff like that. So right here we actually have their own software open, and this is actually how I do the benchmarking stuff a lot of the time. Like if I'm running Firestrike, I'm actually using their high-end Avermedia 4K card, which I do want to review in another video most of the time. But I like this guy too because if you plug in the USB, like the top of my computer, it gives me this much extra room before I have to plug a computer in. A lot of the time, I actually just use this thing as kind of a quick way to connect, a computer I bought off Kijiji, or I go and load up, my test bench, and I plug in a video card, and then I plug it into this. That way, I don't have to switch my monitor inputs, and I can just kind of, check out stuff right on their software. If you click escape here, you see there's it running. It's called Avermedia Rec Center, or Rec Center. But of course, this works with OBS and other video inputs. And actually, in fact, I didn't even install the software on this initially. I just loaded up OBS. When I plugged this in, I added it as a capture source, and it worked right away, which was pretty cool. So yeah, if you just a lot of the time, you'll see me switch between computers in my videos, that's because I'm using this and I've got their capture software full screen, and it's USB 2.0, which might sound like a problem, but I'll throw up some footage of Grand Theft Auto here, me battling it out in helicopter styles, and that's some pretty awesome looking 1080p 60 frames a second footage. You're not going to believe how much this thing costs when I tell you. It's pretty awesome. Now, I used an Elgato, which kind of the same thing, HD60, whatever, for a while, something like that. Forget what the model number was. But I found that a lot of the time when I did a quick plug-in, if it was just kind of sitting plugged in for a while, I would think maybe the thing I was plugging in wasn't working, and it turned out that the Elgato just needed to be like smacked or reset. This thing, I've had very little issues with it, so it's very good. The only thing I'll say over the Elgato, and we'll show you how much the price difference is in a second, but this is a little bit more input lag, if you're using, their software. Playing Mario, you see here, I'm actually playing Super Mario 3 right on, the screen, and not doing a pass-through to another monitor or TV. There's enough input lag that it's not the greatest experience, so I wouldn't buy this to, use the thing. Like, I think a USB-C or a USB 3.0 device would be a lot better for the latency. I think the Elgato is a little bit better for that, but it's not terrible. You could certainly do some quick desktop work and stuff, like if you have something quick you want to record off of another computer, like I do, or some benchmarks. You could certainly load up a benchmark or play a quick video game just to illustrate what FPS in the corner if you want to get into content creation and stuff on YouTube. And what's great about this is, you see I have it hooked up to a laptop. Well, it works that way, right? And it'll work with actually pretty older, crazy hardware, as long as there's a dedicated graphics card going on. And you could take the laptop, plug it in to your entertainment center using this little guy, and then you don't have to lug a computer over or unhook your console from your main TV. You could capture footage right on your big TV. Just put an HDMI into this and an HDMI into the input source, and away you go. It's pretty good stuff. I really, really do enjoy it. So system requirements for this, it needs a quad core, an i5, I'd say Ivy Bridge. Actually on their website it says 3330 minimum, or an A10, something from AMD. I'm going to go ahead and say it's probably best to have at least a quad core, a true quad core FX series or greater, for best results. And then they say for a dedicated GPU on a PC would be a GTX 650 or an R7 250. So as long as there's some dedicated, because they have dedicated streaming sources that they can use to make sure that this thing's happening, as well as on a laptop, make sure it's a true quad core. So at least an i7 if you're in the older ones that don't have, a lot of the i5s and older laptops are, dual cores with hyper-threading. Probably wants a half decent amount of horsepower, but if you have an older laptop, let's say it's got an 850M NVIDIA card in it and an i5, you could definitely use it to stream off this. So how much do you think this thing is? And I remember when I bought my Elgato, this was a couple years ago now, it was well over 200 USD. Well, it's pretty sweet. Check this out. It's only $119.99. $119.99 to get into Twitch streaming off of a console. That's pretty awesome. Or recording gameplay, or recording off a camera. And then yes, there are competitors, and maybe USB-C a little bit better, but this still does 1080p 60 frames a second and pass-throughs to that. Well, the Elgato is 151. So you're saving $30 to go with this, and a lot of you budget guys, that's $30 you could spend on something else, and it's a very, very comparable product. I find this thing a little bit more stable than the Elgato ever was, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, Avermedia, it's a really, really nice product. It is product number GC311, a live Gamer Mini, and they sent that over for review. But I really, really like it, and we'll get into how much I actually really like the 4K, it's an actual physical card that goes in your computer, a high-end capture source, in another video, because I want to get way into it. But the Rec Center software is very, very good. And there's loads of options to change streaming settings and coding settings, and of course it works with OBS. And if you want to see a real in-depth review, Epos Fox, did a very, very in-depth review on this thing, and he was a little hard on it, I think, because he's a pixel peeper. You know, you're seeing footage on the screen right now captured from it on this laptop, I mind you as well, running off of my Radeon 7 at 1080p, and it looks beautiful. It looks great. And yeah, it's just a really good capture card. 120 bucks as a starting point. That is awesome. That is a super great price point, I think, for a capture card of this nature, especially when you can plug into a laptop, plug into any source, and get rolling at 1080p 60 frames a second. So I'm at Watch Timmy on Instagram and Twitter. I want to thank you very much for watching this video. I want to thank IVC VPN for being the sponsor of this video. Check them out. There's codes and link in the description for IVC if you want to, you know, make sure that you're downloading safely. Check it out. And Avermedia, links in the description as well. I know I'm a shill. I'm pimping the products. I'm pimping the VPNs. But you got, you know, it's YouTube. It's fun. I hope you enjoyed watching my video. Hope you enjoyed watching Super Mario 3, terrible falling through the cracks and the Goombas and whatnot. And the Grand Theft Auto. I put a bunch of mods on my Grand Theft Auto, and it's been really fun. Like I'll do a video on it, I think, because it's got like super lifelike graphics, and you can just load. I don't know. We'll get into that later. But Avermedia, Live Gamer Mini, give it a thumbs up, especially at the price point. You can't beat it. See you guys in another video.